If you don't
Well,
mind, I got some breaking news I'd like to share real quick.
you know what? Give me just a second. Let me get this shit. Got, yeah, go right ahead. What's
Just
up?
real quick, it's a short one, but NASCAR has fined Carson Hocevar 50,000 and docked him 25 points for his intentionally spinning Harrison Burton under caution at Nashville on the back straightaway. That was following, I believe, that solo spin by, if I remember correctly, the 42 car.
Damn.
Carson Hocevar runs up behind Harrison Burton and issues a right rear turn towards the wall. Harrison was fine. He didn't make contact, got his car fired up and kept going. But yeah, Carson was ultimately fined 25 points and $50,000. So
Damn.
he might think twice about chasing people under caution again.
Yeah, I would say so. All right. Well, we got, like I said, we got 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, 2.5 pages. Let's get started. Formula E was in Portland International Raceway over the weekend. It started out kind of rough, a bunch of cars spinning around, but your winner was Antonia Felix da Costa. Formula One, George Russell defeated Max Verstappen. Formula Two had two races. Oliver Bierman won race one. Gabriel Bertoletto won race two. You had your cross strike 24 hours of Spa. Ashton Martin got their first win in the Spa 24 hours for the first time since 1972. All right. We got
It's been eventful.
very eventful. And then on the NHRA side, John Force was injured I believe last week in a Fury crash after following his race. He is still in the hospital recovering. Here are your NHRA results. Top Fuel, Antron Brown. Funny Car, Bob Tosca the third. Pro Stock, Aaron Stanfield. Pro Stock Motorcycle, Gage Hira. Motocross, the 450 class. Overall, Jet Lawrence and Hayden Deegan is your overall winner for the 250 class over the weekend. And then we got, before we get to ARCA, Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup, what a crazy few weeks it's been. But first off, we want to take a stop moment to shout out. The reason why we haven't been on the air the last few weeks is because our partner in crime, Mr. Kevin Marble, is dealing with some health issues, and we want to take some time away to let him heal. We couldn't wait off any longer. We hope, Kevin, you get a speedy recovery and you get your ass back here and party with us. All right.
Yes, sir. Get well, bud.
Yep. So Don, how's it been, man?
You know what? I've just been enjoying every little bit of racing I can get, no matter what it is. Of course, NASCAR, Xfinity, and trucks are my bread and butter. But across motorsports, it's been nothing short of just great racing all the way across the board. Um, what do you want to jump into, man? You want to get after Nashville or what?
Shit, let's get out to Nashville.
Yes, sir.
31 extra laps in Sunday's
31.
LA 400 at Nashville Super Speedway. Holy hell. So we're going to do things backwards, okay? Since I already mentioned LA 400, Joey Logano took the victory in the very lengthy Ally, I'm just going to say this, Ally 450.
That's fair.
31 extra laps in overtime. What in the Sam Hill happened in Sunday's race? I didn't get a chance to watch any of the races this weekend, but we'll get back to Joey Logano in a little while because I have some shit to say.
It's so interesting because the last time Joey Logano won, it was at the All-Star race, and his win got completely overshadowed by the fight between Kyle and Ricky Stenhouse. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to Nashville, June, and Joey Logano's win is borderline getting overshadowed by the five overtimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure Joey doesn't care. I'm sure his fans don't care. They're in the playoffs. They're ready to go, right? They're excited. But five overtimes. I've been all over social media. I've been all over the YouTubes, and it really does seem like a 50-50 split of people and how they feel the end of these races should go, whether it be one shot at a green white checker or finish at the designated 300th lap once you cross the line, whether under yellow or not. That's the end of the race. And some people say, no, do unlimited overtimes. Let the drivers figure it out. If you can't survive what comes with overtime racing, don't race. That this is what the sport is these days. I personally, if and I really can't wait to talk to Kevin more on this subject, but I personally think let the overtimes go until somebody makes it to the finish line. Of course, the white flag ends the race with the next flag being the yellow. That'll ultimately end the race. But give them as many shots as it takes. You've got this is the first time we've had 5 overtimes, so it's not like it's happening every week, right? And
Right,
it looks like Kevin just joined us. Kevin, did you jump in with us?
No, it's probably me.
Oh, okay, my bad.
No, I'll be back. Something's going on. I'll be back.
Okay.
Keep
But yeah,
talking.
just to elaborate on the fifth overtime, ultimately Joey Logano made his way to the front. He was the benefactor of what was a very wild Nashville race. Tyler Reddick was chasing him down. My goodness, that 45 was coming in a hurry. I can see why people have the thought of end it at 400 miles. I can absolutely understand it. At the same time, it's a business. It's an entertainment business, and a lot of fans would rather see these guys race their car to the finish line. I think if you cap it off at 3 overtimes and the first 2 don't work out, I think you're gonna have even more carnage on the last one, knowing that this is the last shot at it, guys. I think you're gonna create more chaos than anything. And as the regular season winds down, we see drivers get more desperate. They've only got a few shots at this thing to make the playoffs. A lot of these guys aren't going to get in by points because now that Joey Logano won, he's taken an 11th playoff spot as a winner this year, and it's actually pushed Bubba Wallace from having a really solid day at the end of the day. I think he finished 7th place, and it pushed him 51 points out of the cutoff line. That's not likely that he's going to be able to chase down. I believe it's Alex Bowman in the 16th spot right now, in order to be inside the bubble for the playoffs. We've seen Bubba make the playoffs without a win before. He can absolutely do it again. I just think a lot has to happen. But as far as the overtimes go, I think as many as it takes. One, because we don't see this happen often. The only reason it's a high priority subject right now is because it happened 2 days ago. It'll blow over and people will talk about something else. And I think it needs to stay as is. I don't think NASCAR always necessarily needs a knee-jerk response every time something creates headlines. If it was a reoccurring thing every single Sunday where these guys just could not get to the finish of races, by all means, let's see what we need to do to get that cleaned up. I think this week was an anomaly. I think that it's not going to happen very often, and I think it'll kind of blow over, much like a lot of things do. Let's talk about the fuel mileage aspect, where we saw plenty of guys run out of fuel towards the end of this race, which actually ended up causing the extra overtimes because we had guys running out of fuel, getting stuck on the track, or causing someone else to spin out. We'll get to Kyle Busch later. My goodness, that man, whew, I have nothing. As long as I've been following the sport, as long as I've been a fan here of the last few years of Kyle Busch, I've never seen a struggle this intense and this mind-blowing, I guess, as far as Kyle Busch's career is concerned. Do I still think he'll win a race and get into the playoffs? Yeah, I think if anybody's going to shock the NASCAR playoffs up, it's going to be Kyle Busch. That being said, with Kyle and his string of bad luck, man, I don't even see how you're blaming equipment or teams right now. This is just crazy bad luck. How has Kyle Larson run out of fuel in front of you right after you actually were gifted your spot back? And I'm actually, over the last couple hours, as I've heard more opinions on it, I've actually adjusted my view on it. according to NASCAR's rule of Kyle Busch getting his spot back, because he did crunch into the wall a couple times, avoiding Ross and I believe the 42 car that was coming in there hot, or maybe Ty Gibbs was coming in hot. And so, according to the NASCAR rulebook, they actually got it correct that Kyle was slowing down and only slowed down to avoid the wreck. So I think that now that I've heard the NASCAR rule on it, I think that's fine. As far as the fuel mileage goes, people don't seem to understand that the fuel mileage with Joey Logano, he was running back in the middle of the pack where he's off the throttle a lot more than the guys that are running up front chasing each other down. That's why Joey Logano had so much more fuel and was able to survive 5 overtimes on the same tank of fuel. Do I got you back, Jordan?
Yep. I'm back.
Good deal. So I've covered the 5 overtimes, and I've covered. I started to cover the playoff bubble a little bit, but I didn't really get too much into it.
Go ahead and continue.
So as far as the playoff bubble goes, I think we still have Ross Chastain, Ty Gibbs, Alex Bowman, and I believe one other driver that's Martin Truex Jr. He's actually pretty close to being safe, even though he doesn't have a win. He's up like 130 or 140 right now on the cut line with 6 races to go. So I think as numbers play out, he's pretty well safe in that bubble without a win. Of course, Martin Truex Jr. being the savvy veteran he is, he can rattle off a win any week, anytime he wants.
True, and he could probably ride off into the sunset as possibly a champion to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
But it's just
Jordan, you're breaking up really bad, bud. You might have to reload. Jordan, if you can hear me, you might need to reload, bud. To continue on,
are we
Bubba
good?
Wallace. Yeah, I can hear you, bud.
All right. As I was saying, with Truex retiring, it's like our generation of drivers are like almost long gone. We just have Denny Hamlin left. And then Brad Keselowski's left. That's about it when it comes to this veterans that's been around for 20-something years.
Yeah, we are definitely right smack dab in the middle of the transition between our savvy vets and our up-and-comers, our young guns, like they used to call them in the 2000s. We're definitely hot and heavy in that. And then we're getting to the point where some of these guys that we still saw as young, the Christopher Bells and the Chase Elliott's and the Kyle Larsons, they're not so young anymore, right? Like they're getting pretty established into their careers by now. So, it's really cool seeing the transition of generations of racers, all the way back to your Gordons and Tony Stewart's and Kevin Harvick's to race together, Dale Jr., of course, and Martin Truex Jr., up until all these guys we've got now. It's really awesome to see, and we're seeing even more youth coming through the trucks in the Xfinity Series these days.
Yeah, and it's like, I didn't want to bring it up because I got heated yesterday. Before we get to Xfinity, Joey Logano will be racing the number 15 and racing Ford this weekend at the Chicago Street Course, filling in for Hailie Deegan. And I had a very strong opinion about it yesterday, and I retract everything that I had said. I looked more into it. It's to determine if it's a performance issue with the car, a setup, or driver. But with the way that car is performing and qualifying, I don't think it's the driver. I believe it's the car's performance itself.
And we'll definitely be able to establish a better idea of where that 15 Ford Mustang actually is. Because with Joey Logano behind the wheel, as much experience as he has, he's a 2-time champion in the Cup Series, of course. He'll be able to help that team and really see if there are issues within that car that maybe that Hailie might not be experienced enough to know yet. And she'll take this as a learning opportunity. Also, having a veteran like Joey Logano in that race car and giving that team a lot of feedback that'll probably be very useful to him moving forward.
Right. You see, because what M Racing's doing something that Thor Sport should have thought of, what DGR should have thought of, put a veteran driver in that truck for one race weekend to see how to get the performance well, so Haley can have someone to look up to. That's the problem. She don't have anybody to mentor her in these, in these higher series like some of these other guys do. So it's like she can perform well, but if you don't have a good mentor and a good guidance to advise, you're not going to hit the marks like you're supposed to.
Right, right. It's always beneficial to have somebody in your stall or in your stable that has the experience when you're not understanding why a car is not doing a certain things at certain parts of the track, and you've got somebody with 10 to 15 years more experience in those cars. It's absolutely beneficial. It's going to be good for Haley and her career moving forward, whether this is a one race thing or if they decide to do it a couple more times this season. What else you got for me, bud?
I got a reconnect issue, so
Okay.
go ahead and continue.
So I'm going to continue with the playoff standings because we didn't fully cover that. Right now, the technical playoff standings, and I don't know why NASCAR gives a different version. So give me a second, everyone. Bear with me for 1 second. And let's give Joey Logano his flowers because that race win was so important to what's been very, very below standards for Joey Logano. We're always used to seeing him rattle off 1 or 2 wins, and he's playoff safe, and he's got those wins under his belt, and he's already thinking about the playoffs 2 months before they even take place. That win was huge for him. It was huge in an aspect of he was running around that bubble line with Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace, and now he doesn't have to worry about that. He's got his spot locked in. He's good to go. As far as Bubba, Bubba's a really interesting one because he has those spurts of just finishing really well, and then he just has a string of bad luck. We saw his string of bad luck and getting involved in almost everybody else's accident that were none of his doing. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I know he's not the only one. It's not an excuse. But as far as Bubba's concerned, he was in position to win a couple races this year and just ran into some bad luck, whether it be on pit road or something that took him out of the race on track. Talladega being one of those things. Toyota was about to flip that race on its head upside down if those few cars don't wreck themselves out. So that was really interesting what they did there, and it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward when we go back to Daytona and Talladega and Atlanta. We got Atlanta coming up here in a couple months too. So as far as our playoff standings, manufacturer, owner, playoff fixture. Here we go. They are. I apologize, guys. I don't know why they made this so difficult to pull up on the first try. Bubba Wallace being 51 points out, he's definitely in a must-win situation at this point. You can't mess around with the points anymore. Being 50 back, you're looking at about 9 points a race you need to make up on the competition. That's assuming you finish the race and your competition has to do very poorly. That being Ross Chastain and Chris Buescher or Alex Bowman are really within reason of catching at this point. So the 12 through 13, the drivers without a win that are in the playoffs right now, Martin Truex Jr. at 12, Ty Gibbs at 13th. He's plus 70 on the cut line. Ross Chastain in 14th. He's plus 66 on the cut line. Chris Buescher, who's had a very decent season, had that one run in with Tyler Reddick. He might be a winner right now, but that's how racing goes, 15th place, he's plus 56 on the cut line, and Alex Bowman at plus 51. Of course, Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch in 19th, 104 back. He is absolutely in a must-win situation. We are coming to a couple of good tracks for Kyle Busch, so look for him to possibly sneak himself in there anyway, regardless of how bad the luck has been lately. Josh Berry, who is actually rumored at the 21 car taking over for Harrison Burton and Wood Brothers Racing. That's a rumor still. We have no confirmation on that. And then, past 20 is just getting a little out of reach for some of these guys. I'm going to go back to Bubba and Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher. These three drivers being so close to the cut line, it creates just an incredible amount of pressure on yourself, on your team, for you to perform for your sponsors and for your crew chief and your owners. Chris Buescher having 3 wins last year, and it just goes to show how every season writes its own story. Alex Bowman, of course, we're always used to that 48 car finding its way to victory lane at some point in the regular season and making sure that 4th car is locked into the playoffs for Hendrick Motorsports. It's very strange to not see him have a win by now. And we'll get back to Alex Bowman more later. That'll be a good driver to cover as far as, do we possibly see a replacement coming for Alex Bowman. Chase Briscoe in 18th. He's of course chasing a win now. The points it's just almost too insurmountable. You're looking at plus 20. He would have to get on his competition each week for him to make it on points alone. The regular season is really shaping out to be exciting. I'm excited for some of these guys that probably should have a couple wins this season. That goes for all of those guys I've named. Ross should probably have 1 or 2 wins. Ty Gibbs, I predicted him to win a couple races already this season, and he still hasn't gotten it done. Alex Bowman, of course, and then, of course, Bubba Wallace, man. Watch out for Bubba at Daytona and Talladega because he can win races. And I'm not sure what happened to my crew. It looks like we're having a little bit of technical stuff. But no matter what, I'm really excited because we are finally back on the air. We are finally getting back to getting you guys some information. I really appreciate everyone sticking with us through our little hiatus. You can never predict what happens outside of the things that we love doing, and they'll sneak up on you. So, just kind of handling it the best way we can with the information we have at the time. But we're thinking about you, Kevin. So get well, bud. We will be back tomorrow, I believe 6 p.m. Eastern. So until then, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. Oh, hold on. We might have one back. Jordan, I just closed down the show because I was worried I was going on my own.
Oh, you're fine. Hey, you're fine. Hey, you're fine. It's okay. Hey, no, you're fine, man. Yeah, there was some technical issues. I apologize. I know that. Hey, Don, that's fine. It's all good, man. It's all good. Hey, so the next show won't be until Friday.
Okay.
And then Friday, since I was having technical issues with this one, we will, if you can, we can get it started a little bit early so we can cover the rest of the NASCAR weekend, and then we can get into the preview of the weekend
For Chicago.
Yeah, for Chicago, yes.
Okay, right on.
Yep. So
we'll plan for Friday.
Yes, for Friday, because I have stuff to do tomorrow, and then Thursday with being at the holiday.
Okay.
So we'll get back up there again on Friday. Again, sorry about that. I don't know why I was having some stupid ass connection issues, but hey, we almost got a full 30-minute show in. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I was just ranting on. I was going on about the playoffs, so we got a little bit covered today.
That's fine. That's why we do multiple shows.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you on Friday.
All right. We'll see you guys on Friday. Y'all be safe.